We are out at Eurocycles this morning. I'm gonna do a test ride on a bike that I've had my eye on for a little bit, and this is the first time I've ridden this bike, and it is the Aprilia Tuono 660, which is in my opinion, a great value. It's an Aprilia for around 10 grand. That's a hell of a bike right there, and this thing is pretty well equipped, honestly. This is the 2021. This particular one actually is equipped with a quick shifter, which is, it doesn't come from the factory like that, but it's a simple upgrade, low cost upgrade that you can do that's gonna add a bunch of more abilities to this bike for you. I'm gonna take it for a ride and see what we think. Good morning, folks. Today, we're up in Odessa, Florida. I've got my bike in the shop. We're doing some exhaust work on the S1000. So while that's doing that, I figured why not? Let's do another test ride. So today they threw me the keys. We've got the 2021 Tuono 660. This is Aprilia. It's a great bike. I love the Aprilia bikes. I think that they're just a fantastic machine. I've ridden a handful of them, including the RSV4, the RF and the factory, the 1100s. And I really like the bikes. I like the way that they feel. So when I saw that they got the Tuono 660s in, of course, I had to take it for a ride, and honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. In fact, let me break it down for you. My original thoughts of this, I really thought that I would feel like I was on like a 300 or a 400 on this bike, but it's not. Like, I don't know why I was thinking that. For whatever reason, maybe because it's a 660, we're used to the, you know, like 1100s and 1000s and stuff like that. But this bike is actually, it's nice. It feels good. I could see myself owning this bike for like around town and stuff like that, when you just want to cruise. So they have the RS, the 660 RS, and basically what they did is they took all the components from that and they put all those performance pieces into the Tuono version of that and just changed the riding position. So now you're upright. It's more comfortable for cruising around town. Whereas, you know, like I said before, the Aprilia is a very aggressive bike. I love that bike. Or the RSV4 factory that I rode, I really like that bike. It's just, for the type of riding that I do, is just not very comfortable. Now with this thing, you're actually upright. It's a 660, and you're more comfortable. Your bars are up here, more out. You're not laying on your hands or anything like that, which is super nice. I could see myself riding this thing all day. And if you saw my other Aprilia reviews that I did, I really like the cutout that they make in these tanks. So when you're looking down on this thing, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it looks wide. The tank is super wide, but underneath the tank, it's cut out for your legs, and it actually feels very comfortable and kind of narrow and nimble. The bike overall is pretty nimble. With that being said, I mean, when you're sitting, your legs are in a very nice, comfortable forward position. Your hands are in a nice, comfortable forward position. Everything about this is it's just a nice cruising bike, man. Now here in a little bit, we're gonna hit up some corners and we're gonna get a feel for how it feels when you're, you know, carving a little bit. We're not gonna get too crazy. Obviously, this is like a brand new bike. It's got 50 miles on it, but we're still gonna, you know, enjoy it a little bit without getting too out of hand. One thing I realized kind of right away as I'm just cruising here is how smooth the bike is. I'm not really feeling any engine feedback. What I mean by that is that a lot of bikes, you feel when the engine's working, or when you're just riding, you get the frame vibrates, your handlebars are vibrating a little bit. And this thing, you feel it a little bit, but not much. Like, this is pretty smooth. Like, it feels very smooth, and not a whole lot of vibration or negative feedback coming from the engine at all, which honestly is kind of nice. Even the S1000 that I have, at a certain RPM range, you get some vibration in there. CBR, same thing. They have this spot where the vibration can get kind of bad, and I have not found that in this particular bike yet. These guys are way too ambitious for me. They're up early. They're getting some pedaling in. All right, let's check this thing out. So when you're in the corners, it just feels a lot different, obviously, than my typical sport bikes that I ride all the time. Just because when you're in the corner, it just feels a little bit different. Not a bad different at all. You're just not leaned over quite as much. So it's a more comfortable lean. crossing the mustard. But it's a very nimble bike. It's just a fun little bike. And for 10 grand, I mean, come on. Where else are you gonna find an exotic bike like this for 10 grand? New. Nowhere. Yeah, this thing, it feels good. I mean, it's nimble. It really is. It's fun. Now, I could see this being one of those bikes where you could go out and have fun all day and not be hoping to find a gas station to get off the thing. So there's a lot of bikes out there that are they're a blast to ride, but you can't wait to get off the thing to take a little break. I think you're rocking about 100 horsepower with this thing, which isn't a crap ton, but I mean, for what it is, I don't know how much this bike weighs. That'd be a good spec to know, but I don't. But even with 100 horsepower, it feels super light. And with 100 horsepower, and I think around 50 foot-pounds of torque or something like that, feels really good. I mean, I'm in 5th gear, just kind of putzing. But when I get on it, it wants to go. When I'm in the corner, I don't feel like I've had any loss of power. I got all the power that I need to pull myself out of a corner. Yeah, it feels really good. We pulled off, and one thing I like to talk about with any bike is finding neutral. And this thing is, what the, okay, there we go, we found neutral. Neutral's not the easiest thing to find on this bike, but as with every bike, they're all a little bit different. But I just have to point that out. Obviously, once you own a bike for a little bit, it gets easier and easier. Just like on any bike that I've ever bought, finding neutral has been difficult until you get used to it. Overall, this bike, so far, I just hit like a little stopping point here. All the controls are very accessible. I love the fact that the blinkers, I'm a big blinker guy. I use my blinkers all the time. So the fact that it is very easy to get to without taking my hands off the bars, it's literally right there. Super convenient. I like that a lot. You also have, from looking at the screen here, we actually have different modes, it looks like. Now, I'm not playing with any of the modes or anything like that because it's obviously not my bike. I don't want to mess anything up. And there's no reason for me to mess with it, but it does appear that it does have, so right now it looks like it's in dynamic mode, which if it's anything like the S1000, it's a mixture between your regular road mode and a race mode to make some comfortable ride for you. Other than that, all your controls are very easy to get to. Everything that you need is right there. And I'm assuming that this has, on that screen, has all the same features that the RSV4 does, all the bigger bikes. So it's very cool that they took all of the advanced things that they put on these other super bikes and they put it into this Tuono 660, especially at such a reasonable price. They really packed a lot into this thing. And I could really see somebody having this as a first bike. And I don't know, so I know a lot of women who are shorter, and some men that are shorter are looking for a smaller bike. This still has a 32 point something inch seat height. It's actually a little bit tall. I'm sure that you could lower it just like any bike, but out of the box it does have your regular, it's a high seat. It's a higher sitting seat. It really is fun though. Another thing with Aprilia is the quick shifter. So again, like I said before, this does not come with a quick shifter from the factory, but they do offer it as a small upgrade, and it's incredible. I think Aprilia does the best job with their quick shifters out of any manufacturer that I've ever ridden. I mean, honestly, just how smooth their quick shifter is and how well calibrated it is. The BMW, it can't touch this. The Aprilia quick shifter is much better than the BMW. It's better than the Honda factory ones. It's just better than every other one. Oh, there's a deer over here. Look at that. We don't want to hit him. What is he doing? He's just chilling. He doesn't even care. I mean, look how smooth it is. It's so, it's amazing. Good job. Good job, Aprilia. I already talked about how comfortable it is, how much I love the quick shifter. There's not a whole lot of feedback from the engine, so there's no vibration. Nothing's numbing my hands, which is awesome. And honestly, I really don't want to take the bike back. I just want to kind of ride all day. The seat's comfortable too, actually. I forgot to touch base on the seat. The seat, and I'll show you here in a clip overlaying this. The seat's wide and it's soft, so it feels really, really good. Like, you're not sitting on your tailbone, you're not sitting on anything that you don't want to be sitting on, which is really nice. It's actually super, super comfortable. But the one thing that I keep looking at that I feel could be a little bit better is the display. I mean, if you had to make a smaller screen just to keep the bike in the price range that it's at, then so be it. Whatever. But I feel like you could do, I mean, it's 2021, come on. We have tablets now as screens in cars and bikes and everything else, and they're still using like a Game Boy Color screen for their display. Now, I'm not knocking what the capabilities are of said screen, because the screen still has, I mean, the display and the system has all these features. It's amazing, but it just seems very simple to me. For what the bike is, I feel like the display is very small. I feel like it's very simple. And maybe I'm just being bougie because of what I'm used to, but I feel like they could have maybe went with a bigger screen. And as far as the way the factory exhaust sounds, it's a twin, it's a 660, and it sounds good. I don't know if you can hear that through my GoPro microphone or not, but it's very on brand of the Aprilias. So the RSV4, I'm a huge fan of the way that those things sound from the factory with factory exhaust. They sound incredible. They sound really, really, really good. And the twin 660 Tuono, I think that this engine sounds just as good. That exhaust sounds really good. And speaking of that, it just made me think of something. Like, I'm not hearing a whole lot of engine sound. When I said the sound of the engine, I mean the exhaust. The exhaust you hear, the engine you don't. There's a lot of engines out there that are super, super loud. You just hear everything. This is quiet, but the exhaust sounds good when you're on it. And now when we're cruising, it's not super loud. It's not annoying or anything like that. But when you're on it, it sounds good. Honestly, there's so many good things about this bike. What's up with this little windshield? I don't even know why they wasted. You could take the windshield away, cut costs there, and give me a bigger screen, and I'll be happy. I think that's what they should have done. I don't know what this is for. I don't know. Like, that's not blocking anything. It really isn't. In fact, they have two screens. They have this little like visor thing up there for the screen to protect that, and then they have a pointless little screen or windscreen right there. I don't know. All right, we're gonna drop this off and let's talk about this bike just a little bit more. All right, so we are back. We did a couple miles on this Aprilia, the Tuono 660, and I have to say that this is a pretty impressive bike for what it is. I mean, all Aprilias, in my opinion, are pretty impressive. I've really enjoyed riding these bikes, and I said before that the RSV4 was more of a track bike, and that's probably kind of the reason why I never bought one. I went with the BMW, just because I feel like the BMW is a little bit more comfortable for the type of riding that I do. But with that being said, the Tuono might be another bike that I have to add, because this could be a great bike for just putzing around town, or even longer rides if you're gonna, you know, whatever the case is. If you want to spend a lot of time on the bike, this would be the bike for it, because it has all the characteristics of a sport bike, but it's a more comfortable upright seating position. So as far as the brakes go, the brakes are actually, they got Brembo brakes on this thing with ABS. It's a great braking system. I felt very confident every time I had to hit the brakes. I didn't have to do any emergency stopping or anything today, but anytime I wanted to stop, I mean, the feedback on the brakes felt really, really good, very smooth. But like I was saying, with the seat being kind of wide, you can see kind of there, like, about how wide that seat really is. It's very comfortable, very comfortable. You're not sitting on anything you don't want to sit on. Everything is just, and it's soft. It's nice and soft. Kind of see that, maybe. It's soft. It feels good. It's very cushy. And then as far as your actual riding position, you don't have. They're kind of rear sets right there, but they're more compared to like a, I don't know, mid controls, I guess. It's kind of a nice hybrid. But overall, your seating position obviously is very comfortable. As you can see there, your foot placement, your butt placement, your hand placement, and the bars are a little bit higher, which is nice, as you can see there. Obviously, this thing is also set up for your passenger. Also a nice comfy seat. And their foot controls are kind of directly under them as well, so they're going to be comfortable as well, I can only imagine. Most sport bikes, their passenger seats are ridiculously narrow, and I feel bad for anybody who's got to sit on them, but I mean, it's your call. If you want to ride on the back of a motorcycle, well, you got to take what you can get. But if you're looking to ride on somebody's bike, look for somebody with a Tuono 660, and you're going to have a nice ride. You're going to be comfortable. Here's that quick shifter I was talking about, right? So again, this is not from the factory, so they did throw this on as an upgrade for their demo bike, but it's an easy option to throw on these bikes. And honestly, like I said before, Aprilia does an amazing job with their quick shifters, and that's probably an upgrade that I would do right away. If you're coming to buy one, just tell them that you want that. And then here's that baby screen that I was talking about. I really don't know what it's doing, other than it's just there for looks, but yeah, it's very tiny. This little windscreen here, it's not very big at all. If you're looking for, even if you ride a 1000 like sport bike or something like that, but you're looking for something that's a little bit more comfortable just for daily around the city or anything like that, I wouldn't be scared to pick up a bike like this, especially for the price range. You can't beat that. You're not going to get anything. I know a lot of guys are going to want the Tuono 1100s, the bigger versions of those. But sure, if you can do it, do it. You're just paying for it, obviously. But the 660 is extremely, in my opinion, valued properly. You get a lot of value for what you're writing the check for. They really did a good job with this bike. So, but anyway, if you've ridden one of these, or if you have one and you have other bits of info that you would like to share with people, leave a comment below and let them know, because obviously I don't know all the specs inside and out of this. But I don't think this is going to be the last time I ride this bike. I think I'm going to be riding this bike again. And if you're in Tampa, be sure to check out Eurocycles. Come up here and do a test ride. Check it out, see what you think. I mean, again, I think this is a great bike. Or if you want the sport bike version of this, the RS, which has been out for a little bit, it's basically the same bike. It's just a sport bike. It's more leaned over. It's not as it's not going to be naked like that. It's just a different bike, but same engine, and overall kind of the same bike. But if you're looking for a sport version, I've heard great things about the 660. I have the 660 RS, I'm sorry. I've heard great things about that bike, but I have not ridden one yet, but I plan to. So hopefully we can get our hands on one of those soon as well. But anyway, until the next time, we'll find something else to test ride. All right.